I can now say with 99.9% certainty, we are not getting Demon Slayer news before the end of the year. What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel and to another video. Today is going to be a quick video, probably my last one, just regarding Infinity Castle, new updates and predictions and that sort of thing for the end of the year. I'm not saying this is all I'm going to talk about it from here on out. Obviously, I'm going to talk about it in the future, but this will be kind of my last just like year roundup. Let's chat about some things that I think are going to happen next year before next year hits. And as of recording this, it is December 7th, which historically the last 3 years, this very weekend, we have gotten our first major news of the next arc. This weekend last year, we got the quick teaser saying that the first Infinity Castle movie was coming out in 2025. The year before that, on this weekend, we got a teaser saying that Hashira training was coming in the spring of 2024. And the year before that, on this weekend, we got a teaser saying that the Swordsmith Village arc was coming in April of 2023. Now that has not happened, nor is it going to, because the official Kimetsu Twitter account hasn't said anything. So I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit about that and then go into some predictions of what I think we can expect in the new year-ish. So if you're interested, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment your thoughts. Also, we're trying to reach 100K before the end of the year. We are so close, we're about 6,500 away. So if you can hit that subscribe button and join in on the fun, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so like I mentioned, historically, we've always gotten news regarding the new arc on this weekend the last couple of years. That didn't happen this year, nor did I think it was going to happen. So what that tells me is we're not getting news for the end of the year. A lot of people might be asking me, but there's Jump Festa. If you've been watching me for a while, I think you know that we're not getting news at Jump Festa. But if this is your first time, I'm just going to quickly explain why we're not going to get news at Jump Festa. And for the record, I guess I have to mention that this is just my prediction. I don't work for Aniplex, so I don't know absolutely for a fact that they aren't going to make an announcement there, but they never have in the past. They literally always make their announcements during Kimetsu TV, which is a YouTube event, or during a specific Demon Slayer event in Japan. And the Kimetsu official account will let us know ahead of time that they are going to make announcements. They usually at least do it a couple weeks in advance, sometimes even a month or two in advance. They'll have countdowns sometimes, like they always let us know. We know when there's going to be news, and they have not said a word about anything. So because Jump Festa, historically they never make announcements anyway because it's not a specifically Demon Slayer event, and the Kimetsu Twitter account hasn't said anything, we're not gonna get news at Jump Festa. The other fact, and another reason why I think it's kind of obvious that Jump Festa is not gonna have any announcements, is because the movie is still in theaters in Japan, and we know it's at least gonna run until the end of the year, possibly longer, and I just don't think they are going to make any announcements until its theatrical run is completely done. That is because they want people to go to the theater and watch it. That's how they make the most money. So they're going to pretty much tell people you have to see it in theaters if you want to see it in 2025, like Crunchyroll has said. They're not going to say, hey, we're going to be releasing it on Blu-ray on this date, or we're going to be releasing it to streaming on this date, until it is done in theaters. Because they don't want to give people a way to say like, oh, I can just wait a little bit longer until it's on streaming and not go see it in theaters. And that's really all I have to say about why it's pretty obvious that we're not getting news before the end of the year. I guess if something happens, obviously I'll say something, but like I said, I'm 99.9% sure that's not happening. A good rule of thumb, if you are wondering if there's going to be news at something, don't listen to all of those fancy Instagram edits or random anime news accounts on Twitter or TikTok. All of those people only do it for clout. If you're seeing something like that and it's not coming from the official Kimetsu X account, then don't believe it, because they will always say something. If they're not saying anything, then it's not gonna happen. Could they surprise us? Of course, they absolutely could. I just think that's highly unlikely. And it's okay. Honestly, I know a lot of people are impatient and we wanna find out what's gonna happen next, and we wanna see when the next movie's coming out and that sort of thing. I understand the desire for that. I have that desire too. I absolutely want to have something to actually like tell you all, oh, we're getting news, or oh, we got this news. I will be the first to post something about it when it does happen. But as of right now, we just need to wait a little while longer and let them cook But with that, let's talk about some of the things that I think we can expect in 2026. I'm really leaning towards this next movie not coming out in 2026. Now, there's been a leak for a while that the next movie wasn't going to come out until 2027, and I originally didn't believe that because that would be an extra long hiatus for them. They usually only have 12 to 14 months in between seasons or releases, and they've always stuck to that. However, when you consider the idea that maybe this movie's gonna be playing in Japanese theaters until possibly early spring, so technically if it comes out in like early summer or in July of 2027, you can argue that that's still 12 to 14 months after the arc ends, because it always is 12 to 14 months from the end of a season, not a beginning. So you can argue that that's still a normal hiatus for them. Because doing it as a movie trilogy, they have to be different anyway, because usually it takes a couple of months for a season to go from start to finish, when in this movie, everyone's seeing it in one sitting. So for us, when we go and see it for the first time, we've seen it from start to finish, and now we're ready for the next one. When in reality, with their production, they could really take it as in July the season started and in December the season ended. And when you take that into account, a delay for the next movie that might have to be until summer or spring of 2027 makes a little bit more sense. Also, don't we want the animators to be paid well and to be treated right and like not have to work their entire life away for these movies? Don't we want them to have a healthy work environment? Shouldn't we want them to take their time on these movies to make sure that they are being meticulous with it and making it the best quality possible without overworking their staff? Isn't that what we want? I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it's like, yeah, the wait will suck. I will be very impatient, and I obviously can't wait for the second one, but if I have to wait until 2027, then I have to wait till 2027. There's nothing I can do about it, first of all. And second of all, like, if that's their production schedule, then I trust them to do good work. And really, the fact that we're not getting anything in December really tells me that if we get the movie in 2026, it's not going to be until late 2026, because if it was coming in like the summer, they would need to be starting to get like people talking about it again. But that does not mean nothing's gonna happen in 2026. So here are some things I think will happen in 2026. First, it's going to come out on streaming. Now, I know a lot of people were talking about the fact that there was a typo in a tweet from the official Demon Slayer English account. I made a video on that. If you still think that we're not getting streaming in 2026, that tweet was long deleted. It was up for a very long period of time, which is kind of crazy, but they did end up deleting that tweet, which confirms it was a typo. We will get it streaming sometime in 2026. And that will likely come in the spring if we predict it based off of the Mugen Train release. So Mugen Train, the movie, came out in October of 2020, and the Blu-ray release in Japan was on June 16th of 2021. So roughly, what is that, like 10 months afterwards, I would say, yeah, so we can expect it to come in Blu-ray in Japan in April? March or April, I would say. Now, the problem is, in America, it didn't come out on Blu-ray until December. Oh my God, I hope it's not that long. But if we take that into account, that would mean we're not getting it till like September of 2026 on Blu-ray. That's not even like Crunchyroll. I would think it won't take as long, but it's possible. Now, keep in mind when it comes to streaming on Crunchyroll, the Mugen Train movie came out on Crunchyroll on October 4 of 2021, which was roughly a year after it came out in Japan. So we're thinking streaming on Crunchyroll might happen in the summer. I would expect our Blu-ray would come out sometime around then. So my prediction is the Blu-ray release in Japan will be in the spring, ours will be in the summer, and that'll include Crunchyroll and all that. Something else I think we can expect in 2026 is I do believe they will be doing an episodic release of the first movie. What I mean by that is they will break it into their regular 23-ish minute episodes and release it one episode a week at a time for a series of weeks. They did this with Mugen Train and it was very successful. It made it even more accessible to even more people. It came with an anime original Rengoku episode, new openings, new closings, all of that fun stuff, and I think they will likely do the same thing for this one. My hope would be that maybe we get an anime original episode about Shinobu, with Kanao maybe in it a little bit more since she doesn't have that much screen time, and maybe get an anime original episode about Giyu, since they were the two Hashira that were really highlighted in the first movie, and I think that would likely come out sometime in the summer. I originally thought that would happen like right before the next movie came out, but the more I think about it, the more I think it's just gonna be, they're gonna have something every year just so we have something, and then it's just gonna work out the way it's gonna work out. Now, of course, there's also gonna be some Demon Slayer events. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a live reading of the first movie at some point, maybe in the spring. We'll see. That doesn't really apply to anyone outside of Japan, and I was even in Japan until the day before the last one was, and I couldn't get tickets. So it's very, very hard to get tickets to Japanese events like that when you're not a Japanese person. So it is what it is. But that is kind of what I think is going to happen in 2026. No, we're not going to just be sitting around with absolutely nothing. There are going to be things that are going to happen. The Blu-ray and the streaming is obviously going to happen in 2026. The episodic release is more of a prediction just based off of the fact that they did that for Mugen Train. I don't see why they wouldn't do it with Infinity Castle, have some opportunity to add a few scenes here and there. We'll see. But keep in mind, if that is the case, I think we'll likely get some kind of event that will have news in early spring, and I'm talking like February or March. So hang tight a little while. It might be coming sooner than you think. It just isn't happening now because the movie is still doing its run in theaters. They're gonna wait till it's done. That's just kind of how they do things. We just gotta be patient. It'll come. But also keep in mind, if there is some kind of event with news in the early spring, I don't know how realistic it is to expect them to even say anything about the second movie. That might not come until late next year. I'm gonna be so for real. With the way they do things, again, just with their history, they clearly don't put a lot of effort. Maybe effort's the wrong word. Maybe they just don't put a lot of their budget into marketing because the show is very successful without it. I think time and time again, people, every single time this comes around, they complain about the marketing of Demon Slayer, but they're successful. The movie, by far the highest grossing anime film of all time worldwide, and of course it outdid its own record of Mugen Train, so it's very successful. They don't need to rely on good marketing. People are gonna watch it. So why not spend that budget somewhere else, is the way I see it. So yeah, sometimes their marketing can feel confusing and you just don't really understand it, why they aren't keeping us informed, but that's the way they do it and it's been working for them. So I don't see that changing. So yeah, nothing's gonna happen in December and 2026 is likely only gonna have a few things. I think the next movie's not coming out till 2027, but that's just a prediction. That'll be my last video on this particular subject for the year, unless something crazy happens, which of course I'll keep you all informed if it does. But thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next one. Mata ne!